Hello everyone, it's Hannah here from Virtually Fluent. Today we are looking at that dreaded topic of modal verbs in English. There are so many modal verbs, but we're not actually looking at them in their present typical form. We're going to put them into their past form and understand how these past modals are used and what their definitions are. So as you can see by my summary here, there are so many different modal verbs in English and lots of different uses as well. It could be an obligation or it could be an ability. And you'll often notice that one modal verb can have lots of different meanings too. Now, all of these here are used typically in the present form. Modal verbs tend to be in their present form. Remember, modal verbs are the same for every single subject and they must be followed by an infinitive verb. Those are the basic rules of modal verbs. But what we're going to do today is put them into their past forms. This can happen not for every single modal verb, but certainly for most of them. Now, the pattern to convert any modal verb into its past form is to have your subject, then the modal verb, which does not change. Then we insert the word have, and it's always the same, not has, always have, and finally our past participle. For example, she must have gone to the shops, he must have seen her there. Now, these are the modal verbs that we're going to look at today. We're going to quickly review their definition and use, and then see an example sentence, and we will summarize everything at the end of the video. So let's start with the strongest past modal verb, which is must have. Now, this is used to show pretty much 100% certainty about a past event that has finished and that has happened. For example, she must have gone to the shops, because there's no other explanation. Maybe she left a note saying, I have gone to the shops. Maybe you can see her GPS that she's in the shops. So this shows almost 100% certainty. And to say the exact opposite, that something is totally impossible, a past event was impossible, we use can't have. You can't have left your keys at home because I saw them in the car. That was impossible. I saw them in the car. They are not at the house. This is an impossible past event. Now we want to slightly reduce the strength of the prediction. We're not 100% certain, maybe down to about 80%. And here we use should have. You have a strong prediction, 80% is pretty strong, that something has happened. For example, the plane should have landed at 4 p.m. And the exact opposite of that, shouldn't have, the plane shouldn't have landed yet. But be careful, because should have and shouldn't have in their past forms also have a slightly different meaning. Should have is used to express that something was a good idea in the past, but you did not do it. For example, I should have studied more English at school. It's a good idea, or it was a good idea in the past, but I chose not to do that. Ought to have is exactly the same as should have, pretty much a synonym. I ought to have studied more English at school. And the opposite is shouldn't have. So you did something in the past, but it wasn't a great idea, and you think that event should not have happened. For example, I shouldn't have left you. And ought not to have in the negative is exactly the same. I ought not to have left you. So going back to our scale of prediction, now we're down to about 50%. So we're not 100% certain. We're right in the middle. 50% could have happened, 50% not. And for this, we use might have. I have a feeling I might have left the door unlocked. Mightn't have is exactly the same, just in the negative. He mightn't have locked the door. And a synonym is may have. I have a feeling I may have left the door unlocked. And may not have. He may not have locked the door. And one final one is could have. Again, 50% we're talking about of past events. I have a feeling I could have left the door unlocked, the same as couldn't have. Now, couldn't have is slightly different in the negative form because it's slightly stronger. It's much higher than 50%. In fact, you're almost certain about a past event happening. For example, I couldn't have arrived any earlier because I was stuck in traffic. But just be careful because could have and couldn't have both have alternative meanings in their past forms. Could have means that there was a possibility, there was an opportunity to do something in the past, but you chose not to do that. For example, I could have taken the exam in summer, but I didn't feel prepared. Couldn't have, on the other hand, means that something was totally impossible, very similar to can't have. I couldn't have entered the exam because the deadline had passed. And the final past modal we're going to look at is would have. This is very, very common, pretty much all the time, in conditional sentences. So look out for those conditional phrases, those keywords, if, when, unless. And here we're talking about an imaginary situation. For example, I would have arrived earlier if I could, but it wasn't possible, and I didn't arrive earlier. So we're talking about some imaginary hypothetical situation. So would have is most common in conditional phrases. So those are all the key modal verbs that you can use in their past forms alongside their definitions and the strength of prediction or possibility in English. Now, if you want to practice using these past modals correctly and learn even more about them, including their correct pronunciation and their slang pronunciation, you can check out our past modals course. I've left the link to that in the description below. If you learned something new or just enjoyed today's video, go ahead and give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn notifications on so you know exactly when I release a new video in English on my YouTube channel. And we're not just on YouTube, you can find me across all social media channels. Again, I've left all those links in the description below. Go ahead and like, follow, subscribe, share. I post loads of free materials to really help you just improve and feel more confident in your everyday English. This is Hannah from Virtually Fluent, bringing English to life.